Hey everybody, doing a bit of a simple just yapping stream here. On Steam right now there's the Steam Real-Time Strategy Fest, and I realized looking through the list, which I was curious to see what would be on sale, I realized I already have a ton of the games in my library here. So not really sure about the format for this stream or this video, but I wanted to at least go over some of these games, because a lot of these games I've been really considering streaming, but because they are a bit slower and also a bit harder to understand, I think, without already having played the game, it's pretty difficult to follow along and I think be enjoyable to watch in that sense. But I think I should still definitely try, and but I already have. We're gonna get into it. Okay, Stellaris is the first game. Let's check it out. Oh, wait. Clicking into it opened up 4X stuff. Is this tailored to my... Surely this isn't tailored to my data since I already have all these. But show me Stellaris. Okay, here. So Stellaris is a 4X game where you get to...
How good to meet you. I am Veer. My programming insists
pretty much
that I advise
browse
you
through
not to shut me down.
different menus,
Good.
and then build up
Excellent decision. He has to
an
offer
intergalactic
against
empire. This is more of a cinematic trailer, so let's get into the gameplay here. I guess,
Do you?
yeah, so you get to create your own nation, and then jump right in
More worlds to explore.
to a single star system that you then continuously expand outward from. Like your nation starts to learn space travel and all that stuff, so it's pretty fun.
It's a vast
if you've ever
galaxy
imagined
full of wonders.
future sci-fi battles like that, you'll get that out of this game, which is pretty cool to
Diplomacy.
see.
Betrayal.
It's also real time. You can pause, but like other Paradox interactive games, it's real time with pause, so it's pretty fun to get into. I think mainly if you're interested in that sci-fi theme, but me personally, it's not my favorite setting, so I don't really play that much. I only have a 162.9 hours on record there, but a lot of it, I think I would much prefer to play some of these other games that I'll show y'all. So let's see those. You addicted to streaming? That's the game with the graveyard. What game? Stellaris. Also, hold on. Why isn't this showing up? Sorry for missing that, Devour. How you doing? I'm doing good. I'm doing good. We're doing a little short stream here. Hold on. Let me make sure this is gonna show up correctly. Okay. Cool. Alright, just checking out some games here. So Stellaris... a lot of these games are Paradox Interactive strategy games, so I think I'll discuss the same format, but essentially, if you're really interested in that sci-fi type of fantasy, I think Stellaris is definitely worth checking out, especially for $10. And I have over 150 hours. That's pretty good value. Again, I don't really like measuring value out of games with play hours, but I think it's still worth mentioning. Manor Lords is still in early access, but it's a lot of fun. It's a pretty cool fantasy to build out kind of like a realistically scaled out city, and actually see the people harvest materials from the countryside, and then you transform it into an actual village, tear up the land, use it for farming, and then you trade or produce resources or gear, to actually outfit your soldiers that then you use to take over more land or to protect yourself. So it's pretty cool game. Still in early access, and there are a few other games that have tried to tackle this type of fantasy that I think are a little bit further along in terms of gameplay, but definitely in terms of visuals, Manor Lords is hard to beat. So I think it's definitely valid. It's as popular as it is. It's been hyped up for a long time, and there is a lot of depth to it. I think, though, I'm really excited for what the full vision is, so I've kind of stayed away from playing, but I highly recommend it. I'm just excited to see what's next. If I remember right, the reason why I didn't really continue playing it was mainly because of the combat and the lack of actual town-to-town interactions. And I think that's slated for future releases, so right now it's just more about the town building and just building up an army and then just using it mindlessly, kind of. But I really can't wait until they add in some more depth into giving you reasons to actually send your army, maybe not just for land, but for some other points. That'd be pretty cool, Game of Thrones-esque politicking. I think that's going to be still very light, but at least for me, I think that would add a lot to the imagination and enjoyment that I would have.
Peril and promise. It has suffered long
So
from the
that won't come for a long time though, so I'm definitely hedging my own expectations for Manor Lords.
Baron claims the northern territories as his own.
With these type of games though, it is a bit challenging to make really nice aesthetic towns though, and that's also one reason why I think I didn't really get that addicted to it, is because you have a ton of freedom in how you design your towns, which is really cool, but it's also daunting to make something that actually looks interesting, especially if you're going to see it for dozens and dozens of hours constantly. Sometimes you just want to tear up your entire your town and such, but that's going to hold you back from progressing to like getting to experience some of the other cooler parts of the game. So keep that in mind, I guess, if you have trouble building out towns or other types of city builder sims, because this one, with how pretty it is, I think you definitely want to try and make your towns look pretty. But definitely, if obviously if you still have fun without that, good for you. For me though, that's something that sticks out in my mind. So I only have about 2 hours in there, but definitely the hours that I did have, I know I had a lot of fun there. And it's just so visually beautiful. It's really cool to see it all rendered out in 3D, and the simulation of, an individual character going from their home to workplace, contributing to the larger economy and being able to outfit your soldiers. That's pretty cool. Is this the same game from yesterday? I'm just browsing the Steam sale list. That's right. Thank you for helping me out, Devar. Nice to see you again, Janelsti. So this is fancy Clash of Clans. God damn it, Devar. Why you gotta call it like that? Yeah, this is Clash of Clans on crack. None of the free-to-play monetization stuff, but similar idea. You're building up your own little base, and then you can use what resources you gain from your base against your enemies, and also you got to protect it. So this shit's classic Clans. I finally thought I'd pop in before you vanish for that milk for the week. Thank you, Devour Souls. I appreciate you. I might be doing some other really short ones, but I thought this would be pretty easy to do. Hey, your stream, I thought you were taking a break so you can catch up on work and child support bills. Yeah, this is gonna be super short. No gameplay today, so we just chatting here. I'm gonna go through just a few more games. Not all of them. That was Manor Lords. I'm checking out the Steam Real-Time Strategy Fest, and I was really hopeful to find some new games, but I have like all the top games, at least that show up for me first, already owned. So I thought, maybe I might as well talk about these games, since I've been wanting to play some of them on stream, but they kind of take long to get into, and you know what, I feel I should just try it anyways, just to show y'all how fun and how interesting I think some of them are. But because I do own them, yeah, I wanted to share them with y'all and just share my thoughts on them, and maybe even recommend them for some of you all, because these are going on some pretty big discounts that I think make them definitely worth considering. I don't know though if this is the same page for everyone, so either way, they showed me the games I have in my library. I thought I might as well talk about them if I've been wanting to play them anyways, but I just haven't gotten around to. This is where the child support money goes to his addiction. I gotta have them games, man. I have to have them games. This looks cool. Manor Lords, I highly recommend it. And you know what? I might as well also, sorry for backing out of there. I do want to go into that page, but I also want to talk about some of my other strategy games that I'm interested in. Because I kind of alluded to not to other games when I was talking to Manor Lords, and I'll reference some of those other games. But here, Crusader Kings 3, goddamn, this game makes it OP to have incest and keep it in the family. But it's really just the most simple visuals. I mean, it's just a 2D map here with text on it. You do get the nice visuals of different characters, so if you do have incest, you can at least see how your sister or brother look, or your mom or dad, or your uncle or aunt, or niece and nephew, the whole family. But that's about it. Everything else is just a bunch of numbers and icons. And the point is that, though, your own actual imagination fuels the point of what you do. So the main thing is that there is combat, so you can fight your enemies to take over their land as they did in antiquity, but you don't always have to. And there's maybe different reasons why you want that land. You know, either you want more money to expand your existing land, or you really don't like someone. And why wouldn't you like someone? Well, maybe because to survive a war that someone waged on you for your land, but you were too weak to protect it, you married off your son or your daughter, or whatever. You know, you gave up something important to yourself to stop that war, and then now you want revenge, or you paid a lot of money. That's probably more common, actually. You paid a lot of money, you paid a bribe to stop the war instead.
Through marriage, power,
or to end the war and keep your stuff, and then so you build up your in response, and then 20 years later, maybe your kid is the one to actually fulfill your revenge, or maybe your grandkid, because as a single character you'll age and you can die in battle if you actually lead your own battles. So it's pretty cinematic if you can keep up with the imagination there. This is based on reality, though. There are mods, so you can change it to Game of Thrones, or anything. There's like ones that take place in super antiquity, like during Rome's heyday. But this game takes place around 800 to 1300s or 1400s or something like that. So they got the Vikings, people still using swords, and before the point of guns, and personal armies or standing nation armies or what have you. I don't know much. I just play the video games. So with that said, you do get to play some pretty famous characters. Earl Alfred of Wessex, some of these famous Vikings. Those are always some famous starts. And then it goes all across of North Africa. Where's the world map? The Middle East, Asia, and of course Europe, for its namesake of Crusader kings. But it's not just about, there's different religions. You can be Catholic and wage crusades, use them for, genuinely to spread Christianity, or to actually use that as a front to get more land in the Middle East instead, and use that as a jumping off point to starting an empire all the way down here in the Middle East, when maybe you're king of England to begin with. So it can get pretty crazy. You can give that to your land. You can give that new land then to your kids, and then see how that empire goes without you, so on and so forth. So it's pretty cool to have some of that grand political stuff to give you reason to do things in the game. I think it kind of makes you feel like a little mastermind if you're doing family to family politics, or a proper statesman if you can handle not going to war with people even with a weaker army. Pretty cool fantasies here. The gameplay is hard to get into, but Crusader Kings 3 made it much more accessible than Crusader Kings 2, so I think it's still worth a shot. I think you'll actually have to invest some time to learn the game, but once you do, I think you'll have a lot of fun with it. I think there's a lot of cool things that you can do in the game, and there's a ton of mods too. So the big thing, like I said, is mostly fighting and stuff, but actually having reasons to fight, having some family trees, protecting your family, wedding them to the right people if you want to do that, or becoming powerful enough that you get to keep your children close and your family together. All of this stuff that means nothing to these NPCs, but to us as people, we can make a bunch of fun stories around that. Those are on my list. Okay, I'm locked in now. Let's go. Oh, Heavy Rain. This game is the police. Oh, y'all talking about all these other games too. Poor Snake. Oh, Metal Gear Solid. Yeah. Yeah, these are all good games. The Bratz doll games. One of my literal first video games was on one of them old ass PCs. It was a disc, a CD-ROM game. You had to have the CD in the disc bay, in the drive bay, whatever the fuck, to actually run the application and play the game, because you're playing it from the disc. Anyways, and then you took care of these babies. You would have multiple rooms. I don't know if they had independence or you had to click and drag their big heads between rooms, and you get to click and drag bottle to them or whatever. What the fuck was that? Some early Five Nights at Freddy's type thing with the different rooms and camera angles, because you were taking care of the baby and they might be wandering off to another room. Do I remember this right? I think I might be just making stuff up now, but either way, that was one of my first games I ever really played. Play Resident Evil 4 Remake or Final Fantasy 7 or 10 or Silent Hill 2 Original. I'm gonna add them to the list. We're gonna be playing Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, Metal Gear Solid Delta. Those two games are the games that I'll drop anything for. But there's a ton of these games that I do want to play. I think Resident Evil 4 Remake is a good one. I think I've already played that. But again, I always typically forget so much. I mean, it's been years, so come on, give me a break. The Silent Hill 2 Original. That one is a good one to keep an eye out, though. Oh, fuck. Devourer asking. Hang on, read the whole list out. I want to hear it. Are you questioning the validity of this list, though? I mean, the list exists. I just don't know why I gotta tell you it. But Silent Hill 2 Original, I actually do want to play the disc on the original console on a newer TV, but it will at least, be played on the original hardware, and it'll have the same bugs, but it'll look the same. It won't be emulated, and I'll actually be playing it on the controller, because it's interesting for some games. You don't really think about it for PC only games, because everyone typically uses some keyboard and mouse with their PC these days. But at least for other games, even for console games, well, especially for console games that need a specifically designed controller for that console, like the PlayStation versus Xbox controllers are different. I mean, this is pretty obvious, but I just think it's interesting in that the designers need to understand how the buttons feel when you're playing them and using them for a game. I mean, there's a reason why jump is typically never mapped to a trigger on a controller, and they typically have gun-based use buttons on the triggers rather than on the face buttons, like the square, triangle, circle, or X for PlayStation. And other novel games like Guitar Hero, where they have to, this whole other game had to come out with its own controller just for you to play that. I mean, I can't believe how anyone would buy into that idea working, but it definitely, I mean, it worked out. But it's just interesting how the way you interact with the game is something that a designer for that game has to keep in mind. And by playing Silent Hill 2 original, I think there's going to be something interesting about that rather than playing it emulated, where I'm playing it on a mouse and keyboard, but this game was designed with the PlayStation controller in mind. So I think that is worth playing it originally. All that to say, that's for Silent Hill 2 original. I want to hear the whole list for all the games on it. It's probably like just my Steam list, my entire Steam list of 568 games or whatever. It's probably like 200. I want to know the length. I'm scared. I'm not showing the list. Excuse me. This one is addicting. Scientology, the game. This one is addicting. I have 783 hours in this game. And pretty much all of it is like doing the same shit. Just sleeping with my sister and sending soldiers to another land and rinse and repeat. But I keep doing those same actions because they're contextualized in different interesting ways that you can make up fun stories for. So highly recommend this. Wait, what's this first negative review say? So far, all comments are split into two categories. I love CK3, please take my money. I like CK3 and would love CK3 if it were not consistently trying to take advantage of my wallet. Oh. Okay, this is a review saying the game is good, but Paradox Interactive is a bunch of assholes for giving us some pretty terrible DLC, which is actually the reason why. I mean, that's a good point. Is the DLC is quite expensive, but it's kind of an interesting issue because this game has such a big modding community and so many experienced people doing shit here, doing some crazy shit. For example, the biggest one is, oh yeah, sure, some people did Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings, but where is it? Did they stop supporting it? Some people did it of Japan. There's a mod that integrated Total War into Crusader Kings 3 that like totally changed the experience because you would actually get to command your soldiers as they appeared then, because you would download more mods for Total War, and then you'd get to control the amount of soldiers that you actually raised up on the world map, and then saw them fight, commanded them to fight in 3D, get to see them on the field, get to feel their deaths. That shit I would cry about. and either lose your land or, you know, lose it all or win it all. And so there's a ton of cool mods there that, when compared to some of this DLC, feels a bit light. I think they've done a much better job from the last game, though, in that they're releasing a ton of DLC about new mechanics. So it's a bit debatable in the sense that, I mean, I agree with some of these new mechanics aren't that interesting, but I have to admit, I mean, they are totally new mechanics, so at least it makes the DLC not just new content, which the Steam Workshop mod community has tons of just straight up free content that I think you can get incredible fun and enjoyment out of for completely free. And I don't think anyone really wants to see more of the same setting that we've seen. We just either want new mechanics or stuff like that. So, for example, with Roads to Power, some of the mechanics feel a little bit light. They're just like boosts to your character, to your family, and I think it's interesting, but I don't know. I just didn't get into it. I think I ended up returning it because I just stopped playing the game, and it was just a bit, I don't know. It didn't really help out with my fantasy of what my characters were really doing, and it really did feel more gamey in that sense. So I don't know. Just my own ramblings, but the base game itself, I mean, on sale for $15 US. I think it's definitely worth checking out, and tons and tons of fun there alone. So yeah, pretty cool. That sounds like a useful mod. Add Heavy Rain, that's right. I was just thinking about Heavy Rain because I thought about, what game would we do after Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and The Walking Dead, and I had considered Detroit Become Human, but I was thinking, I don't know, is that like the only game that we could do? Because I feel like that's kind of basic because so many people have covered that game and I've seen a playthrough. I haven't played through it personally, so I feel it's going to be a little bit of a situation like The Walking Dead first episode, where I feel like some of the stuff I do know, some of the other stuff I completely get surprised by. I don't know how y'all feel about that, but I felt like that was a bit disingenuous playthrough, because sometimes people would think that I'm just giving like a raw, fresh reaction, but also sometimes I was, but sometimes I was just like reacting, having a reaction where I already knew what was happening. So not sure. But definitely Heavy Rain. Heavy Rain is really fun to think about to me, because that was like the first full playthrough of a game I ever watched on YouTube, and it was like this dude that just set up a fucking handheld camcorder, on a tripod, positioned its framing correctly to his TV, and then would just sit and game right next to the camera, and then that's it. I can't remember his Dark Side Phil, I guess, but then he turned out to be some crazy fucko. But either way, that experience itself I thought was pretty cool. This game that was at the time expensive, I couldn't get it. I didn't have the console or whatever. I don't think I had a console then, so I couldn't buy it, but I was so deeply interested in the idea of a strongly narrative game like that. I don't think there was many like Heavy Rain at least coming mainstream, so that was really unique for me to see. And what do you fucking, the Origami Killer, the Reporter, and then Sean, the mall and the balloons, you know what I mean? Just play what you want. I don't have any gamer friends besides you guys. Oh, absolutely. I mean, I still, it's just a matter of like, which one should I play first, you know? Because I think all of these would be fun to play. Definitely. I hear you on that, Heavy Rain. I never get to talk about games. Yeah, it's still pretty hard to talk about a wide range of games. But I definitely a lot more people are getting into gaming. So I think it's cool that I think people are exploring different games from the type of game that they started off on. Because I think I've seen in chat some of y'all talk about some of the games you're playing, and I see like some crazy just like jumps in genre that I wouldn't normally expect someone to just like get into, you know what I mean? In the sense of like from a cozy game to just like a complete fast-paced killing game or something like that. I think I've seen someone talk about that. So much lore. Just my opinion. I mean, we'll see my reactions to some of these games in Oh, you're talking about some of the background with the Heavy Rain that came up. Okay. Yeah, that is similar. Also, my half-brother just told me that he has a middle schooler. I think he adopted someone, but I'm not sure. Anyways, highly recommend Crusader Kings 3. Hearts of Iron 4, god damn it. Oh my god. This game is old as hell. 2016. I graduated high school in 2014. But I didn't play this until like 2018 or 2019 or something. Either way, this game is insane. This game goes hard. If you really enjoy the World War II theme. So it's kind of a weird game. It's kind of a weird game because there's politics involved, and the idea is like if you played multiplayer, you could have like politics, I guess, and work with people, but no one plays it like that. It's about just killing other people and either allying with people that you already know, because no one really enjoys the betrayal gameplay or expects it. So it's like, what's the point of allying in the first place? Sometimes it's to like allying practically means you're trading resources and stuff like that. But you don't need to do that necessarily by allying. So either way, it feels tacked on, that diplomacy aspect. The main thing about this game is building up an industry and an army for your country based on the World War II timeline. There's mods also, so you can change that up, do some alt history stuff. But the base game is, you get to pick Poland right before the few years where Hitler invades and Nazi Germany invades Poland, as well as fucking Russia, I guess, invades Poland also. And then Poland gives up, and then it gets split. So it's pretty cool to see. I mean, it's kind of balanced in the sense, like, if you're playing as Poland, you really got to bust your ass to try and get some out history going out where you stop Nazi Germany and Russia at the same time. Or you do a blend of that. Either you change Poland to survive by allying with Germany first, and then you get to fight on their behalf against Russia, or you do the opposite. You ally with Russia so that you can fight against Germany. Either you try and give up the port over here, or you fight for it, or you give up Danzig, or you fight for it. There's like that historical moment where they allow German soldiers to just walk on in and take over. I think I'm making stuff up again, but either way, it's just cool to kind of see history play out in that sense. Like, you can understand what I mean by balanced is that like the country, the game designers balanced the country to be somewhat realistic with its industry, its capabilities. It's heavily gamified though, so regardless, it still feels like a struggle to try and pull Poland out of this, especially independently without allying with Germany or Russia. So just cool things to play around with, and it kind of paints an interesting light on learning history, because at least the first opening few years kind of play out against the AI, at least between AI, as it did in reality. So it's kind of cool. Sometimes there is some out history, so make sure you don't get you're only learning from this game, but there's some cool stuff there. You get to play as almost any country. I mean, you can play as any country during this time period. It was truly the world at war, so there's stuff for every country to kind of do or play around with. You can make the Philippines a national empire or a jingoist empire, similar to Japan, I guess. You can play as one of the many different factions across China. You can play as the giant Soviet Russia. Go it as Stalin or the other person. Change some of the politics. Play as the United States and don't enter the war on the side of the Allies. Maybe do it on the side of the Axis instead. So there's cool different scenarios that you can play out, which is all backed though by your ability to build up your army and your industry while playing the field. So playing the field in the sense of, I guess that's like the most amount of politics going on, is that you could choose some decisions to, like they did at the time, cede some land to another country that's approaching, to give yourself more time to build up your industry, and you try and really min-max your industry to have enough supplies to defend against them once war is declared. So you may want to tactically choose some decisions that cause your country to lean one way politically or another, and it's kind of interesting. You get to apply your own interest in how you want a country to act, and be challenged then by your ability to back it up with your ability to make that industry and make your weapons and, fight violence with violence, in a sense. As you can see, though, it's all 2D, pretty hard to follow along, but once you get into it, this is another Paradox Interactive game, so it's going to take investment to get into, but I think if you're interested in setting, you'll find a lot of fun out of it. I just watched the trailer for that sequel I was talking about, and I need to go run around and scream. What sequel? Let me see. The Leeds Murder? Oh, I was looking at Do You Copy? Free game on Game Jolt. I recommended back when I first started watching, and it got a sequel.
To the German aggression.
It's called The Leeds Murder. Is it on Steam? Okay, I'm not going to search this on stream. I might have some crazy shit show up. Leeds Murder. Oh, it's not on Steam. Okay, so I'll be able to find it probably on their Game Jolt page. That's pretty cool.
War in Europe.
I have checked out Do You Copy? And so the reason why I haven't been playing some horror games pretty much like the past few weeks, the reason why I was playing horror games was typically because my roommates weren't home, and so I could scream and have that full reaction. But because they are around these days, I've played less horror games, and it kind of just depends on like what the schedule works out. I mean, even if they weren't here, I'd still not really play horror games since we're still playing the Walking Dead games, but that's kind of why. So once I get into a different streaming setup pretty soon, in a couple months, we'll probably be doing a bit more variety between the type of content, from like horror to maybe slower stuff to faster paced gameplay, whatever, just more variety stuff, but been keeping it away from horror because of that. Sounds like a pretty awesome game with a very in-depth personalization. I think it's pretty cool because exactly of that. You get to focus your country on vehicle production, like tanks. Everybody be saying German tanks were the most well designed and strongest, but they didn't win the war because of that. So there's different challenges with how you'll actually be able to produce strong tanks that are also feasible to make enough of against your enemy. So sometimes just raw numbers, even people without guns, just raw straight up manpower, man bodies, like in the case of Soviet Russia, can overwhelm your enemy enough, even if they have a technical or technological advantage, in some cases. Otherwise, it's very complex simulation, so you can do some pretty crazy stuff there, and it's really cool. I'm just happy to be in chat with y'all. Appreciate you, Devour. Oh, makes sense. You do you. Let's go, baby. Yeah, I do want to check those games out, though, when I'm able to, in that sense. When I'll be able to give, like, a more genuine reaction. Otherwise, I gotta, like, suppress myself just so I don't wake anyone up. Or scare anyone. Okay. Age of Empires 4 Anniversary Edition. I only gotta recommend this half-heartedly. This is a classic RTS game. It has cool visuals. It has like historical facts. But it's still very much a game. And to me, it always felt weird that Age of Empires was like, people said it was this historically accurate game, when really it's just, at least in this version, I can't quite remember the originals. But this is just like tooltips or just like visuals. But in terms of gameplay, this isn't how it was fought then, or they're not in these at this scale. And it kind of, like, you're not going to be also building your town with how they built it back then. So the attempt at historical accuracy not being married to the gameplay, I think, is more of a byproduct of the original game being released way back when. But that's the reason why I don't really get into Age of Empires these days, because just that mix in what I feel the game is trying to be versus how I play the game. Don't know if I'm really explaining that well, but that's why I have it still. It's just nostalgia stuff, but I think there's more interesting RTS games to get into these days too. Speaking of which, Total War is not historically accurate, I don't think. But I think for this game, there is a mode where you are. But the story, this is like the game we played last night, but the story is not necessarily all fact. But they try to make the gameplay factual with like the scale of the unit sizes, how they fight, and so on. Either way, this is just like your regular Total War game. The cool part about it is that it has the Romance of the Three Kingdoms story and narrative. It takes place in China, different environments like this. There's a fantasy mode where you can have characters act like heroes as if they were from the Warhammer Total War, where they're individual units that can kill so many more. It's different from the original Total War games or the older ones, where it was like purely realistic. and full squads, or try to be realistic, and just squads of people rather than an individual unit killing, like dozens of people at once. So pretty cool. You get to choose your fantasy there. Different visuals from medieval Europe, so it's pretty rare sometimes to. It feels sometimes a little bit saturated to play games that take place with swords and shields and bows, because there's a lot that take place in like Europe or medieval Europe type inspired places. So just alone taking place in a different country, different region, different set of mythology, different visuals, how they design their armor, their robes and whatnot, all just cool, refreshing visuals there. Even though this Total War game still plays pretty similar to other Total War games, I still think that the wrapper it has with the Three Kingdoms is still pretty cool. There is a world map that well, I don't think that's worth talking about. If you play it, you'll see. I think the core gameplay of the fighting is just like any Total War game, but for Three Kingdoms, I think it's very well made.
The Empire.
Great modern
long
edition.
divided,
I think this is
must
newer than
unite.
War. I think this is one of the
A
newest
great
Total Wars,
dynasty burns.
behind Pharaoh. So it's pretty. It has some great quality of life features. Highly recommend that too. Wololo in chat. Oh my gosh, my mom and my cousin just made brookies. Oh, I love that. Mixed together, smells so good. Just came out. Oh my god, you gotta get that right now while they're still chewy. Holy shit. Official Milkman, hi. Oh yeah, did you hear about that new game where you bring modern weapons back to medieval times? I think I did, and I think I saw that earlier, and that just makes me go insane. I think that's funny, but it's not like a game that I would sit down and take time out of my day to play. Kind of looks like Ghost of Tsushima from Wish. Three Kingdoms. Oh my god. Age of Empires had historically accurate campaign scenarios. But that's just like what's happening, right? Like, oh, these people are fighting these other people. This is what happened. It's not like, oh, they had 5 horses, 6 spearmen, and they formed up in this way, and then they fought and won the battle. It was like hundreds or thousands with that scale in antiquity or something like that, right? So that's what I mean by historically accurate. So, oh, it was? Okay, I see you, Archie. Dota 2 being on RTS is insane. Get that shit out of here. Age of Darkness Final Stand. This is like They Are Billions. A little different. I see it's mostly positive. And I kind of agree with that. It's just like your any other tower defense type game. This is like They Are Billions, Age of Darkness. Are there any other recommendations? It's somewhat similar to Thronefall, but I see Thronefall as overwhelmingly positive, so I think it's a bit lighter on the game, on the more complex gameplay going on here, like microwing to collect resources in the day when monsters come in mass at night. You have different heroes, different visuals, manual placement of all these buildings in your units, so you're controlling a lot. Damn, this looks pretty cool actually. But this is definitely not this is like over. This is designed for the picture. You would make everything look so much uglier and more compact, I think, just to fit your necessary buildings in as small of a space as possible to maximize the amount of defense that you have available. I don't know, that's at least how I played. So my bases never looked as cool, but still pretty fun. Very cool to have all of these bodies just die by your command and defenses and units that you build up. So it's kind of like a nice blend of a true RTS where you're commanding multiple units in real time against some enemy, and tower defense. I think the issue is that it can get pretty repetitive, because that really is what it is. Just build it continuously, building up. I think you go to a new level and then you build up your walls again, make sure everything is efficient, and then you kind of play. So these type of games are really cool for competitive games, like when you have a certain build order that you're trying to complete within a certain time and most efficiently, like you're trying to speed run the most efficient defense, because I believe the maps are static, so it's pretty much like you're continuously trying over and over again, or at least trying your best on your first try to survive as efficiently as you can with the resources that you get. I'm kind of simplifying it. That's kind of like every game in the world, but that to me felt a little bit boring, because it was always about defeating back the darkness. I think there was some light story, but it wasn't enough to keep me hooked, just because the gameplay was so much of the same. There is an endless mode, and I think the game is worth playing, most definitely, but it's not a game that's infinitely replayable, so I don't have any 500 hours played or anything like that, and that's the only thing that I'm comparing it to. 23 hours is not anything to feel bad about, especially if it's just $10 with this big sale. So I do recommend it on sale. I think the original price is a bit crazy, but definitely fun. Definitely a lot of fun, and cool amount of scale there. Like medieval, they are billions. It was actually in depth. I gotta go back to that then. I think I may have given a bad review of the Age of Empires. Maybe this is why I didn't really do well in history class. Looks like a mix between tabs and COC. What do you mean COC? Command and Conquer? Oh, that's not C and C. What is COC? Tabs. I actually haven't played Tabs. Totally Accurate Battle Simulator. I do feel, maybe I'm wrong though, but I'm just guessing. I do feel they're somewhat similar in there. They feel more like a sandbox toy rather than a game that you can keep replaying over and over. Clash of Clans. Oh, Tabs and Clash of Clans. I think this is closer to like Clash of Clans still, actually. I don't know if for this one, Age of Darkness at least, I think Clash of Clans actually almost takes it all. Call of Cthulhu. Why do I feel like I've seen that game? These last two games that I haven't played Age of Mythology, the original, or this new remake, or Sins of the Solar Empire. Me personally, if I want to play, I would play Stellaris, because I like how it connects it to like your actual people, so it kind of gives you reason to care about where you're expanding to and whatnot. I mean, it's more like that type of simulation. I don't know much about Sins of the Solar Empire. Maybe it's like that, but that's just why I would stick to Stellaris. I mean, I already have it, so I'm just personally not interested in trying a new Total 4X game, because all these, or at least the Paradox Interactive ones, take a lot of time to get into. You know, at least a few hours, but if you have other games to play, those few hours are pretty valuable. Anyways, this game is extremely exciting. The game's audio to Call to Arms, Gates of Hell, is so well made. Another World War II themed game. You get to control every single unit. You get to take control of them in third person mode as well. So that means you get to roll up in your own tank, shoot at odd angles, take full player control there, or just leave it to the AI, control them from top down, just highlight them on screen, right click them against an enemy and they'll do their best to fight, stuff like that. You'll get to lead big charges of infantry alongside using some artillery pieces, anti-tank emplacements, positioning them carefully in advance because they take time to get out there, or using tanks in a rapid assault tactic, action, lay down mines to counter them, or get out anti-tank bazookas, whatever, to stop them instead. There's different environments from snow to dry land, stuff like that. You get to see the soldiers in their winter uniforms to like their regular uniforms. So there's just a lot of cool moments for some really cool cinematic feeling. The audio is great. The combat is fun. It is hard to get into. It is a little bit different from other RTSs. But once you understand how they need you to play the game, I think it's really fun to play this kind of smaller scale, just, World War II themed RTS game. The maps are not small at all, but you're not going to be using like hundreds of bodies, but you will be using a handful of squads at dozens each, so close to 100, but not multiple hundreds. So pretty cool, still significant scale, seeing all these soldiers laying down fire for each other or pushing up, hauling ass, dying, screaming out, stuff like that. Very cool. Got a hair on my tongue. A dynamic conquest as the Germans taking all the tanks and weapons off the ground. You can I don't know if this is what you're referencing, but you can take your enemy's gear. So there is a game mode where you can, where you have like a point buy system, and if you don't have enough points to buy some gear that you need, you can capture it on the field. So disabling your tanks, having your own people get into them instead, allowing you to take them onto the next mission, or if your soldiers are unsupplied because they're so far away and you don't have any supply trucks, gotta keep their ammo supplies up actually. Then they can loot their enemies instead, switch to their enemies' weapons, grab their ammo, and keep on fighting. There are some campaign scenarios where you're like playing as Russia, and you have like no gear, so you'll have to like scavenge it from other people, other dead comrades, or what have you. I think that's like a really light thing since almost all the game is about combat, but I think I remember that mission. I might be making shit up again. Either way, I highly recommend this game as well. My favorite is playing as a mortar team manually and just watching the explosive hit your target. It's pretty rare to hit a target dead on. It's, somewhat inaccurate. So it's kind of like a slot machine, and each pull of that, hearing the whoop of the missile coming out of that tube and then landing right directly on a mass of soldiers as their bodies fly apart, that is an incredible feeling. However, also having a ton of huge ass howitzers, like 5, and having them just all shoot at once and just completely bombarding your enemy position to the point where you can just send in one guy and just take it all over because you just bombed the hell out of them. That's going to take literally like 3 hours per match, and you got to be playing against PC. No human will let you do that, but at least you get to see that spectacle of seeing all those giant artillery pieces rain down shrapnel on everyone. You need the base game though, which is a modern era. This game? Gates of Hell. This game is standalone. I think for those other games you do need like the base game and stuff, but this one specifically is standalone. I think they got bought out, or the developers got their like mod or whatever published, and so now it's like this own standalone game. Looks like those early strategy games. AI sucks, but it's good to keep everything at max range and take control of one guy. This one, yes. Yep. Or play like Worlds of Tank-ish. That is also fun. Getting to play the different tanks and sniping other tanks. Yeah, I agree with that. You ever play PUBG or DayZ? I played a ton of DayZ when that mod first came out. Like some of the first people to start playing that mod. Because I also played Arma. And I was like the only kid at my school that even knew what Arma was. Because I'm just always looking for weird shit to play and different new games. And at the time, not many people knew about Arma. It was hard to like even find people talking about it unless you already knew forums to be in and whatnot. So when it came to that, that's when we decided to that's when I decided to check this out. I can't quite remember how I decided to check out Arma, but either way, I was playing it, and then the DayZ mod came out, which I realized was also on. I don't think I like knew that the DayZ mod was out because I was playing Arma. It's just that I happened to already have the game that it's a mod of. Because that's how it was, right? Is that how it was? Either way, played the shit out of the DayZ mod. And I had a huge falling out with my friend group because I crashed a helicopter that we found. It was like persistent servers, so you had to hide your shit in the corner of the map where only you knew, and we managed to find a helicopter and actually retain it across a few different sessions, and we lost pretty much all our stuff because I crashed it, so we lost all our people. Not one survivor. Not one damn survivor. It's pretty fun. Make sure you get enough sleep tonight. Thank you for reminding me, Dora. Games like that besides Fortnite. Oh my gosh, a nice warm brownie with a chocolate chip cookie baked together with French vanilla. What the fuck? Sephiroth, that sounds too damn good. That sounds too damn good. Damn, that sounds good. That brown with a I only got this plain ass water, man. Yeah, I just spilled it all over myself. What the fuck? Now I'm pissed. You know what? That's it. That's it. I'm not even going to talk about this last game because I already played it before. It's on my YouTube channel. Check that shit out. Appreciate y'all. Check out the bio for the Discord. Fucking spilling water all over myself. Alright, y'all. Thanks for stopping by. Just a little quick session here. Damn, we streamed for an hour. Okay. That's actually a lot longer than I thought it would be. Well, y'all, thank you so much for hanging out for so long. Just yapping over here. Those are my recommendations. And I highly recommend, though, Hearts of Iron 4 and Crusader Kings 3. Alright, good night. Good night. It's so good. It tastes like the first time I've ever had it. Honestly, don't know if I've had this before. It sounds so good, Sephiroth. I've become a meme dealer. Helicopter. TikTok is back, baby. When you streaming again? I'm not sure if I'll stream tomorrow. I might do like a short 30-minute just to be able to advertise that I do daily streams, but we'll see. Definitely not confirmed until like Friday or Saturday. Good night, Reeves. Thank you. Thanks so much for sticking around, Genosi. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. Genosi, Sephiroth, Devourer, Archie earlier. Thank y'all for chatting with me. Thanks for hanging out. I will see y'all next time. Check out some of these games. They're all on sale. But that's all I had to say. A little bit of a unstructured yapping stream there. So really appreciate y'all stopping by. I'll see y'all next time. Good night.